Hi, I'm Isabella,
And I'm Ian.
and we will be presenting our chocolate taste test project.
We had a few objectives for this project, but we decided to get four different chocolates, 88%, 77%, 65%, and 33% from Cocoa Love. And then we had the individuals that we were testing rate them on five characteristics: creaminess, bitterness, sweetness, and cocoa flavor. And then also, lastly, the meltability of the chocolate in their mouth. And then at the end, we compared all of them together and we put them on a pie chart and had them choose the favorite. And we had to choose a balance between flavor and health advantages.
And then here is a picture of all the four chocolates we chose from the brand Chocolate Love. And there was an 88% extreme dark, 70% strong dark, 65% rich dark, and then a 33% milk chocolate. And then our chocolate of choice was the brand Choco Love. As previously mentioned, those were the percentages of our chocolate. And the reason we chose this brand is because Choco Love aims to create the best tasting chocolate while ensuring happiness for customers and everyone involved in the process. They're based in the Rocky Mountains, and the company benefits from the region's unique climate to produce high quality, affordable chocolate. They prioritize ethical sourcing using traceable cocoa beans and non-GMO ingredients to ensure transparency and quality of chocolate. And they're dedicated to consistency of flavor and integrity.
For our taste test criteria, we had a scale 0 through 10, and we evaluated 0 was not at all for the factor, and 10 was very much. We evaluated five characteristics, like I said: creaminess, bitterness, sweetness, chocolate flavor intensity, and meltability. After all of our participants tried these all, we had them rate their favorite one, which will be shown in our pie chart later. We had a couple methods that we did. We cut the chocolates into evenly squares, and then we did a single blind taste test. So we knew what we were giving them, but they did not. We labeled each one from A, B, C, and D, and we kept it consistent. And then also the chocolate pieces we didn't put in the fridge, they were room temperature. And then after each sample and participant, they would cleanse their palate with a sip of water, how much they'd like, and just a plain cracker.
Yeah, they were. We used Simple Mills almond flour crackers as the plain cracker. All right, and then moving on to our results. So here is our bar graph. This was is the average rating of creaminess, bitterness, sweetness, intensity of chocolate flavor, and meltability of the chocolate samples. And as you can see, for the colors are 88% green, 70%. Anyways, so creaminess was the most consistent for the 33% milk chocolate. Bitterness was the 88% dark chocolate. And these results are kind of like almost self-explanatory. And then for this one, we had our participants rate their favorite overall chocolate, and the group consists with 10 participants out of 20, so 50% of the sample size chose the 65% dark chocolate as their favorite. And then the close second was the milk chocolate with five people, so 25% of the sample size choosing the milk chocolate. Four people chose the 70% darks, 20% of the population, and only one participant chose the 88% dark. So that would be like 5% of the sample size.
And off what she said, participant consistently ranked the 33% milk chocolate as the creamiest and sweetest. But what I found interesting was that 65% of sample, the 65% was not the highest or the lowest in any category. It was right in the middle ground, and that seemed to be what people liked and they chose as their overall favorite. And on the other hand, though, 88% dark chocolate was consistently low on the scale, or if it came to like bitterness, it was on the top. And people didn't prefer that. They usually like the middle ground. And then the 70% chocolate had a balance too, but people preferred the 60% because it was a little more sweeter while also having the component of the dark chocolate that made them feel healthy. Caused these results. The variation in sugar, cocoa, and fat content of the chocolate samples account for a majority of the variation of flavor and texture. Most participants found that the 33 and 60% chocolate contained more sugar content to be sweeter and creamier. The 33% and 65% accumulated for about 15 of the 20 votes, which was a majority of it. That means only five people chose either dark, 88%, or 70%. Um, Dark chocolate would include a high concentration of flavonoids and theobromine, was more bitter and intense than the other ones. As Beckett in 2008 points out that in Science of Chocolate and Sugar and milk solids have significant impact on a chocolate's taste, profile, and texture. With increased fat content, improved meltability and mouth feel, which explains the better scores for milk chocolate samples than the dark chocolate samples.
Ooh. All right. And so, like some of the dark chocolate health benefits, we've been talking a lot about these in class. Like Ian mentioned, they're rich in flavonoids and which have antioxidants and anti-inflammatory effects. They can also improve, dark chocolate can also improve blood flow, lower blood pressure, and support heart health. It also contains magnesium, iron, and fiber. And as we know from class, when chocolate is alkalized, it reduces the bitterness, but also destroys many antioxidants, which reduces health benefits. So chocolate, the best chocolate to choose is dark, non-alkalized chocolate, particularly 70% or higher cacao content. So, what are some of the chemical differences between all of the chocolates? Well, 88% dark chocolate has the highest portion of cacao solids and cacao butter, 70% being moderate, 65 being slightly less. And then this means that there's more of these flavonoids, especially epicachin and catechin, theobromine, and caffeine. All of these contribute to bitterness and these have potential health effects. And then 88% dark chocolate has roughly 12% sugar, and these sugars increase as we get lower in percentage. And then it also makes them less bitter and less healthy. So that could be why somebody would like it better. And then as the cacao content increases in dark chocolate, the theobromine and caffeine increases as well. And this can be like sensitive for individuals with sensitivities, so that could be why most participants didn't like it.
Going from the 88% dark chocolate to the 33% milk chocolate, there are chemical components that explain the taste difference. So the flavor difference between the chocolate samples were closely related to the chemical components. The 88% dark chocolate, which had the most cocoa and the least sugar, was the bitter due to the high levels of theobromine and caffeine components that increased both the antioxidant activity and bitterness. While in the 70 and 65% chocolate included more sugar and significantly fewer flavonoids, resulting in the smoother, more balanced flavor. And then lastly, the 33% milk chocolate, what had the most sugar, fats, was the sweetest and creamiest, but also definitely the least healthy. Uh, but the sugar and milk solids had a significant impact on the flavor, texture, and melt in the mouth sensation. In conclusion, our taste test revealed that chocolate intensity, sweetness, and bitterness are significant affected by the cocoa percentage overall. Higher cocoa content provided a bolder, more bitter, flavorful, and better health advantages, but was less liked by more participants in terms of taste. The lower the content, such as the 33% milk chocolate, was creamier, sweeter, and more popular in terms of flavor, but offered a less healthier and benefits. So when you weigh both of those, people would more likely choose the 65% over the 30, just because of there are some health benefits included where the 33% there are none. And then the 60 and 70% chocolate struck the best because there's a balance between the two, where the 33% was too sweet and the 80% was too bitter. And then beyond flavor, Coco Love commitment to ethical sources, ingredients, quality provides significant value to their overall offering. So that is why we chose Coco Love.